to order. It's a public hearing for of the Auburn Industrial Development Authority for Peter Mack Realty project. Tracy?
Yes. Is now available for streaming on Echo Show devices. Would you like to?
Thanks, Rob. Okay, so I'm going to read the project description and cost-benefit analysis. Peter Mack Realty Ltd., the company, has requested the authority's assistance with a certain project, the project, consisting of the acquisition of one that's actually, there's no longer an acquisition of a parcel, the construction on the land of a new 25,000 square foot addition to the existing improvements. Hold on. I didn't read this before I started. See, Bill? You were worried.
That's what I was going to do, Tracy. I could have done that.
Yeah, so there's no acquisition, Rob. Can I just skip saying that piece?
The acquisition refers to AIDA's acquisition of an interest in the project rather than Peter Mack's acquisition of the property.
You. I got very confused. Usually that doesn't mix me up, but it did today for some reason. I'm going to start over if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah.
Peter Mack Realty, the company, has requested the authority's assistance with a certain project, the project consisting of the acquisition of one parcel of land located at 38 Allen Street in the city of Auburn, New York, totaling approximately 6.44 acres, the land, improved with one building totaling approximately 50,000 square feet, the existing improvements, the construction on the land of a new 25,000 square foot addition to the existing improvements for use as a warehousing space, the improvements, the acquisition and installation in and around the existing improvements and the improvements by the company of certain items of machinery, equipment, and other tangible personal property, the equipment, and together with the land, the existing improvements, and the improvements, the project facility. The authority will acquire title to or a leasehold interest in the project facility and lease the project facility back to the company. The company will operate the project facility during the term of the lease. At the end of the lease term, the leasehold interest will be terminated. The authority contemplates that it will provide financial assistance to the company in the form of a sales and use tax exemptions, mortgage recording tax abatement, and real property tax abatement. The foregoing financial assistance and the authority's involvement in the project are being considered to promote the economic welfare and prosperity of the residents of the city of Auburn, New York. Based upon the information provided by the company in its application, the project will involve an approximately $1,380,300 capital investment by the company with significant job creation potential. The authority estimates the following amounts of financial assistance will be provided to the company. Sales and use tax exemptions, $80,800. Mortgage recording tax abatement, $6,000. Real property tax abatement, $119,099 for a total estimated financial assistance of $205,899. Got it that time.
Everybody's muted, but they're talking.
Yeah. Bill, you're still on mute.
They all are.
Who else?
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
There you go. There he is.
Thank you. So at this point, is there any public comment? Okay. Hearing none, is there any board members that have any questions or concerns that they'd like to discuss at this point? Okay. All right, with no comment or questions, I would ask for adjournment. Have a motion, please.
Make a motion.
Moved by Jimmy.
Hi, Jim.
Seconded by Terry. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Thank you. 4:36. That was quick.
6. Are we expecting any other board members, Taylor?
I'm here. I just got here. I just having trouble with the Google connection. So
Jeff is supposed to be joining.
Do we have a quorum, Tracy?
We do have a quorum.
Okay.
It's just not technically the time of the meeting.
Okay.
What was I doing here?
Do you want to go back through it? You want to read that over again?
No. No, I do not.
Tracy, this is Gwen. Hi, Peter. I just want to clarify something. I think when you read through the document, you said that this project is indicating that it has the ability, did I hear you say, to create a significant number of jobs?
Yeah, we can, now that the public hearing is adjourned and we haven't necessarily started the regular meeting, we can go over that in the regular meeting as part of discussion.
I'm sorry, I had a delayed reaction.
That's okay.
I'm just curious, I don't know if I direct this to you or Peter. Peter, do you have a sense of the number of jobs that you'd like to create as a result of this project? Did I miss
What I'd
it?
like to create and what would actually happen in two different things. And it's very trying times right now.
Right.
I can tell you that last year was a banner year for us, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was our best year ever. Starting off this year, we're looking like we're going to have a pretty successful year. But you got to remember that we're a trade show company as well, too.
Right.
We haven't done a trade show in over a year.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come back, we're going to see probably a lot of work coming our way. We already have one job for 2022, where we're taking over all of Caesar's Palace's ballrooms just to do one show for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming, and we'll need more people because we've gotten so heavily into retail that anybody that once we bring that back, we're going to need more people.
Mm-hmm.
And just our warehousing facilities. They're not just warehousing facilities where things are sitting on racks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We actually import and we manufacture and we fill racks and we collate, and then we're sending out tractor trailers every day. It's a full working warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll need more bodies because the more space you add, the more materials you add.
Right. So I'm hearing you say that it's hard to quantify it formally because it would ebb and flow dependent upon the nature of the projects or the business that you're taking in.
Yeah, I would say you're correct.
Yes, that's
But
helpful to me.
I'm hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping for the best. I don't have a crystal ball, but
Mm-hmm.
if anybody knows our history, we've been here a long time and we keep getting bigger.
The application itself commits to 5 jobs over 3 years, 6 jobs over 3 years.
Okay, that helps me understand.
But it sounds like hoping for more.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm hoping the new owners do well.
who are the new owners, I may ask?
Nobody. I just wish there were. I want to retire someday,
Have they offered you an ESOP at all? Is that
I'm actually working on that right now.
Okay. That doesn't surprise.
That's in talks this year, that it becomes an employee-owned business.
Yeah.
So that's one idea. So that's one plan of a couple. But that one looks promising, actually.
I can see why.
Coming up, excuse me?
I can see why. It's got some pretty solid advantages for you in terms of being able to get you out, at least a portion out.
Right.
And get
it
paid.
gives my employees ownership, and the people that I've hired now, it's a whole different personnel that I've been hiring. It's they're very smart people and they're very motivated. They're going to build the company.
Well, if it's obviously it's a greater motivator when they have a paid piece of the action. Hello.
You're right. Absolutely correct.
I lost video somewhere.
I see you. But you're right. Absolutely.
Does anyone have anything else? We already adjourned, correct, Tracy?
We did.
Okay, so we'll see everyone at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
We'll just hang in for a minute.
Okay.
We are all set.
Okay, I will call the meeting of the Auburn Industrial Development Authority Wednesday, February 21st, 2020 at 5 o'clock. Can I have a roll call, please, Taylor?
Mr. Dacey? Absent. Mr. Andre?
Here?
Ms. Lover McLeod?
She's here. Oh,
Here I am.
No. Mr. Gasper? Mr. Cuddy?
Here.
Mr. Beer?
Here.
Mr. Giannatino?
Here.
Mr. Lavardway? Mr. Gravius?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We will now go to minutes for review and approval. We're going to take these together, A and B, January 20th Finance Committee and January 20th regular meeting minutes. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Jimmy,
I'll second it.
seconded by Terry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Carried? Thank you. Now we're going to do some shuffling so our guests can go first. First we have a addition to the Mack project, Mack Studio project. We need to talk about the seeker for that project. Tracy's going to read that for us.
so we've got a seeker resolution that needs to be done before the authorizing resolution. I don't know if you want to have any other discussion about the project before we move into the resolutions. Or are we good to go? Okay, I will share the resolution. And I will read it. You guys ready for this? Resolution, Peter Mack Realty. A regular meeting of the Auburn Industrial Development Authority was convened at 2 State Street and via teleconference and
See, we
video
can't see it.
conference. Cannot see it. I will try again. Can you see it now?
Yes.
There it is. Yep.
So we convened a meeting in the city of Auburn on February 17th, 2021 at 5 p.m. The following resolution was duly offered and seconded to wit. Resolution of the Auburn Industrial Development Authority, the authority in issuing a negative declaration pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act relative to the Peter Mack Realty project. Whereas the Industrial Development Authority, the authority is authorized and empowered by the provisions of the Auburn Industrial Development Authority Act, Chapter 915 of the 1969 Laws of New York, constituting Title 15 of Article 8 of the Public Authorities Law, Chapter 43A of the Consolidated Laws of New York, as amended, the Act to promote, develop, encourage, and assist the acquiring, constructing, reconstructing, improving, maintaining, equipping, and furnishing of industrial, manufacturing, warehousing, commercial, and research facilities, and facilities for use by federal agencies or medical facility, among others, and thereby to advance the job opportunities, health, general prosperity, and economic welfare of the people of the city of Auburn and improve their medical care and standard of living. And whereas Peter Mack Realty, the company, has requested the authority's assistance with a certain project, the project consisting of all the things I read in the public hearing. Can I get away with that, Rob? I can't see you if you're nodding. Okay, I'm going to read it.
Yes, you can. You can.
Okay. All the things I read in the public hearing at 4:30 is the project. Whereas the company previously requested the authority's assistance with a certain project, the 2014 project consisting of the acquisition of the land, the construction on the land of the existing improvements, the acquisition and installation in and around the existing improvements of certain items of machinery and equipment and other tangible personal property, collectively the 2014 project facility. And whereas the City of Auburn Planning Board issued a negative declaration associated with the 2014 project facility, pursuant to the Coordinated State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, SECRA review and with the authority as an involved agency. The company submitted Part 1 of the SEAF for the project, which is attached as Exhibit 1. Whereas, based upon the foregoing authority as determined that the project constitutes an unlisted action under SECRA pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.2 AK, because it does not appear on either the Type 1 list set forth at 6 NYCRR 617.4 or the Type 2 list set forth at 6 NYCRR 617.5, and whereas the authority is not obligated to conduct coordinated review under SECRA, and whereas the City of Auburn Planning Board prepared Parts 2 and 3 of the SEAF and issued a negative declaration for the project on February 2nd, 2021, attached as Exhibit 2. And whereas the authority reviewed the findings of the City of Auburn Planning Board's negative declaration under SECRA, and the authority prepared Part 2 of the short environmental assessment form for the project, a copy of which is attached as Exhibit 3. Whereas the authority now desires to make its determination of significance in accordance with the SECRA regulations at 6 NYCRR 617.7, and now therefore be it resolved by the members of the Auburn Industrial Development Authority as follows. Section 1. Based upon the foregoing investigation of the potential environmental impacts of the project and considering both the magnitude and importance of each environmental impact therein indicated, the authority makes the following findings and determinations with respect to the project. A, the project constitutes an unlisted action as said quoted term is defined in the SECRA regulations at 6 NYCRR 617.2 AK. The authority accepts Part 2 of the SEAF. The project will result in no significant environmental impacts and therefore is one which will not have a significant effect on the environment, and authority will not require the preparation of an environmental impact statement with respect to the project. And D, as a consequence of the foregoing, the authority has prepared Part 3 of the FEAF attached here as Exhibit 4, and by a resolution issues a negative declaration with respect to the project. Section 2, the chairman, vice chairman, and or any other officer of the authority is hereby authorized on behalf of the authority to execute and file Part 3 of the SEAF negative declaration. Section 3, the resolution shall take effect immediately. And the relevant document to that is I do not have the relevant document open. So Steve Selvik did send over the negative declaration from the city. And the City Planning Board did do an extensive review. I can share that here. Maybe I can share that here. Okay. You have to be patient with PDF sometimes. So this is the form that Mack Studios provided to the City of Auburn. It's pretty similar to the forms that we would have required had they submitted through us. And here is in Part 2, the impact assessment by the Planning Board. You'll notice the no or small impact column is more or less checked all the way down. And their statement here, just note that their thoughts on the process, that it explains the project, the zoning for that area, noting that there needs to be consideration for runoff and stormwater. That's about
Tracy,
it.
can I add
The declaration? Yes.
On the previous page, the checkoff list there was one that wasn't checked.
Yeah.
Any relevance to that at all?
No, that is related to energy efficiency. I
Okay.
suspect that maybe I accidentally unchecked it when I opened it.
Okay, all right,
And
Thank you.
it's not noted in the comments here.
all right. Thank you.
Mhm. So those are the EAF documents.
Bill, you're muted.
Okay, does anyone have any questions they need to ask before we have a roll call vote on that part of it, on the seeker? Okay, Taylor, can you do a roll call vote for us, please?
I think we need a motion in a second.
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry. Can I have a motion for a vote on the seeker, please?
So moved.
Moved by Brandon, seconded by Gwen. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Dacey? Mr. Andre?
Yes.
Ms. Glover McLeod? Ms. Glover McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Gasper? Mr. Cuddy?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Aye.
Mr. Giannatino?
Aye.
Mr. Lavarnway? And Mr. Gravius?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Now we will move to the resolution for Mack Studios. I'm sorry, I lost my spot.
That one was in the packet, so I don't have to read it.
Okay. Okay, authorizing resolution for Mack Studio expansion. Do we have any questions before we have a motion? Does everyone feel comfortable voting on it at this point?
Bill, I'd just like to say, because, and this happens at council all the time too. 1 week we're talking about a project. In this case, it was last month. All the questions are asked, and then we vote the next month or the next meeting, and it looks like we're just voting blindly. So for the record, I want to state that Mr. Makowitz did adequately answer all our questions at the previous meeting.
I agree. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jim.
So can I have a motion to vote on this resolution, please? For Mack Studios?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Jimmy, second by Roger. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Carried? Thank you. Thank you, Peter, for bringing that to us.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your work and your volunteering on the group. I know no one's paid there except Terry, I think. Terry, I think you still get a salary. And Terry, you've been great. Thank you for getting us through all this and everyone else. Really appreciate it. Makes me feel like I belong in this town. I appreciate that.
Wait a minute, you're not a native?
I am.
I thought so.
But I've had my moments, and these make it better.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
your
bringing
time
the
tonight.
project.
We'll get everybody connected behind the scenes.
Thank you,
Thank
Terry.
you.
Bye.
Okay, so continuing to go, the initial project resolution for Courier Plastics.
So this project is one that we've been talking about for a few years now. You might have heard me mention it a couple of times, and we're excited to see it coming to the board. This is the medical expansion for Courier, and we've got Mike Kartner and Diane Pisgatti here to discuss the project. If it's okay with you, Bill, I'd like to have them kind of give an overview.
Okay, absolutely. Go ahead, guys, whenever you want to let us know.
My name is Michael Kartner. I'm the CFO here at Courier. I'm also one of the owners. And this project is a expansion project on the existing property. And it is a 90,000 square foot addition that would basically allow us to expand in the healthcare area that we've targeted and tried to penetrate since 2017. If you recall, back in the end of 19, we actually had a amendment to our agreement, which allowed us to be able to restructure the debt because of some of the things that we did for equipment purchases back then, which was for medical equipment. And now this project allows us to do a actual expansion of the facility. In addition to that, there's another $6 million of actual equipment planned for blow molding and injection molding, both processes. And they allow us to do containers for reagents that are used in the medical arena. And the containers actually are what we refer to as a super customer, which basically is a customer that allows us to have both an injection and a blow molding product combined. The fact that Courier Plastics has both disciplines under one roof allows us to be a little bit different than some of the other plastics companies in the fact that there are customers out there that need to have both disciplines in that project. And luckily, we've been able to meet those needs and gotten some very good traction with some bigger customers. And because of that, obviously, it pushes us to a point where we need to have the additional capacity and the additional space to be able to continue to expand. The $6 million in equipment would be immediate. That's as soon as we can get access to the funds and be able to accommodate some of the extended lead times that we're currently dealing with because of the COVID-19 situation, and also being able to have that equipment, as it were, shipped in from both Germany and Italy. So we're struggling a little with that in the timing, but assuming that the customers stay on track and allow us to do what we need to do, and they've been very good so far, the plan would basically be as soon as we qualify for the financing package, which is a combination of Chase Bank and the New Markets Tax Credit Group out of Massachusetts called Muskoma. And they actually are a CDE that will give us allocation of those federal programs to allow us to help at least offset some of the costs of the construction. The project is roughly like a $19,000 project, including some of the costs associated with the New Markets Tax Credit financing. I did not include those as something that would be included here because this is the raw cost of the project that you see in front of you here. Basically, the land acquisition was something that we planned on and have already prepared for and done. We bought that property from the plaza here, contiguous to our existing facility on Columbus Street. And then the building cost and the equipment are basically detailed, and then an estimate of some of the soft costs as well. It's a big project for Courier Plastics, obviously, something we need to have support if the city sees its way through, and AIDA can possibly assist us as they have in the past with some of the benefits, including the pilot. So it's a project that we're anxious to start. If everything stays to track, we'll actually start the construction probably no later than July of this year. It's planned to be an 11-month project, at which point we would immediately use part of the building for warehouse space, and including in the cost that you see for the building construction, it also includes a clean room in excess of 10,000 square feet, which allows us to focus on some of the higher detail products in the medical arena. So it's it's a sizable project for us. We have done expansions here on Columbus Street, probably in the neighborhood of more like a $9 million project. So this is the largest we've ever done. And, with any luck, this is just a start for the expansion in this arena. When we purchased the land that we're using for this building, we also acquired property that is to the south of us next to the plaza on the east side. So we have additional acreage there should this be successful. We haven't at this point made decisions whether that's going to end up being a warehouse, but the space is definitely needed here because it's getting more and more limited for us to be able to grow here in Auburn. Do you have any questions that I can answer about the project or about the components of the project?
So I did put on the screen here the general cost benefit analysis. This is a very high level snapshot of some of the numbers, but I did want to note that in the jobs table as part of the application, it does seem that all of these jobs that are being created are paying more than $15 an hour. Actually, a lot of them quite a bit more. So they are generally good paying jobs. And as far as the structure of the pilot agreement goes, it's more or less taking the existing pilot on the existing facility and rejigging that and working this new pilot into that. There's a little bit of a puzzle piece to put everything together, but it's kind of layering this new addition on top of the existing pilot, just as we did with Mack Studios.
This is a sort of a training question. In the abatement and incentive area there, it says, I'm just reading it, property tax abatements, 485A, no pilot.
That's a typo, sorry. That was taken from a prior template, and I just didn't erase it. It shouldn't be there.
That's never happened to me, so I can't imagine why it would happen to you. I've never, in the reports I've issued, have never made anything like that. So
thanks.
Anyway, so 485A is not relevant to this.
Not relevant. Nope. This would be a pilot.
Mike, can I ask you something that I always ask when we're at this stage? Everybody knows what the question's going to be. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but I'm the member of labor for AIDA. That's a role I enjoy. So I know that you have read the local labor policy. Do you see any issues with you being able to make the numbers that are in that policy?
No, as a matter of fact, I think that with a little good luck, we're probably going to exceed it by far. But the criteria and the way that we did the calculations, I don't feel that there's any real risk at all.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Mike, can I follow up on Bill's question? Because in prior years, we've had situations where a project like this is submitted, there's good faith on both sides in terms of we're talking about hiring locally, I guess, Bill, right? Is that pretty much?
To the extent.
And yet we always run into the folks in your position who really have a difficult time finding qualified people. And it's, kind of a dilemma. I did math, if only because I guess that's what I do. It looks like the jobs are averaging about 60,000 per job, a pretty solid wage situation. So you anticipate you'll be able to not be hamstrung by that like other folks have been in previous projects in terms of getting qualified people?
Well, keep in mind that the numbers that we're referring to are averages, so not every individual job is at the 60,000 level. Our beginning workforce usually comes in without considering any benefits. It's about $38,000 a year. That's what somebody would come in and start at. And for the majority of those people, we actually hire them through CPS, a local company for temp services. So that's where the majority of our people come in.
Are they just a curiosity there? Are they your employees or are they the employees of the temp service? I'm just curious.
We bring them in through the temp services for 60 days. And then assuming that everything goes well for the 60 days, we immediately bring them on as a full-time employee for Courier Plastics. Now, that's not all levels of employment, but that's part of what's going to be in the mix for these employees.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that Roger and I are talking about two different things. I think you understand that, Mike. I'm talking about the labor, the construction labor. Do you think you'll be able to meet that number?
Yes, I'm confident. Matter of fact, one of at this point, the company that we're working with is CNS Engineering out of Syracuse.
Okay. Yep.
And we actually put that on the table before we even got too far down the path to make sure that all the subs and everything qualify.
Yeah, they're good people. I've been out of the Auburn School Board for 20 years, and we've used them for our last several projects. They're good people.
Yeah, very
good work.
Very intelligent.
I'm sorry, Bill, that I...
No, that's all right, Roger.
Yeah.
No, I just...
And I think that's probably, not to belabor this, but that's probably a more relevant and interesting argument is that when we get to the contractors, all good intentions at the start, but then we will hear that some specialty piece of the project just couldn't be handled in Auburn, and then we end up getting surprised. Doesn't seem like it seems like we're in pretty good shape here, but thanks for that clarification.
May I ask a question about the job creation?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the table, and it's spread out over 3 years for the 25 new positions. Currently, it says that there's 168 FTEs. Is that a number that's remained constant? Is that a number that's gone up?
No, actually, going back to 2019, we were at 150 as a base. And even during the COVID situation, because of all the new work that we were able to secure in the healthcare arena, even though we weren't able to generate the revenue because there's a large product development time when you bring a job on because of the sequencing of, getting the machines in place, doing the qualification of the machine, the material, and the process that's needed to be signed off by the customer. Sometimes it takes up to 12 to 18 months to actually bring a job to the point where we can produce the parts. But because of the fact that we had so much development time, we actually had to bring people on during that period. So we actually grew in 2020 to get to the number we're at now. And realistically, we're kind of thinking that we might actually be able to get to those numbers on the application by middle of the first year. It may not be something that's why I mentioned that we'd be able to easily exceed the employment numbers. Now, once you go out a period of time like that, it's hard to identify the actual specific job. It could be a technician, it could be maintenance, it could be an engineer, or it could be an operator. Generally, the operators are the people that we require and rely on the most because they're associated direct to the machine. Everything else is more of an indirect cost, and they come in based on, the individual requirements of the customer and the job itself.
Understood. I actually toured Courier probably two and a half years ago. And if I remember correctly, a large part of your business was the hospitality industry. Is your business moving more in general towards the healthcare market, or is this like a diversification?
Well, it started in a plan as a diversification because even before COVID came into play, we were dealing with, plastics wasn't a real popular thing. California decided that they didn't want any more disposable bottles. That hurt the amenity industry. So we knew back in probably the end of 19 that, we were going to have to do something different to be able to stay on track for the growth plans the company had. And the amenity markets Over the course of 3 days in March of 2020, we lost over $9 million of revenue from the amenity markets just because, on top of the fact that there was already the pressures because of what California and Canada and some of the other municipalities had done, cutting back on the small amenity bottles. They came in and said, listen, because of what's going on and the fact that people aren't traveling and everybody's basically being, quarantined basically across the country, they basically just stopped all orders. Now, as of today, things are different. They're coming back a little bit, but it's nowhere near and probably never will be what we had before in the amenities. So we were extremely fortunate that at a similar time frame, all this new work came on in the healthcare. So I'd like to say it was all a wonderful plan that we had, but that wouldn't necessarily be the truth. So we had a little luck in there.
Sure. Well, the name of the game is adapting and overcoming, right?
Sometimes that's what you have to do.
Yeah. And, obviously with 168 employees, the prospect of 25 additional, you're a major employer in Auburn. So I want to say that, I appreciate, you Courier being proactive and forthright enough to diversify like this, because obviously it's important that you stay here for a long time. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the nice comment.
Does anyone else have any questions for Courier? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to move this to schedule a public hearing for this resolution?
I'll do so.
Moved by Terry, second by Jimmy.
Yep. And can I ask one question, Bill?
Yes,
I forgot this. Will this have to go before the planning board or the zoning board?
It already has.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Nay? Abstain? Okay, carried. Thank you.
Thank you both, and enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be in touch with a public hearing date. We've been doing them recently right before the scheduled meeting, so it'll probably be around this time next month.
Okay, well, regardless of when it is, we'll be there. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it.
Thank you both. Thank you for coming. Good stuff.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye now.
Okay, we will now move back up to 3, bills and communications.
So for the month of February, we have, let's see, we have Buffington and Holtland, which is for the audit of $2,700. Then we have the citizen notice, which is the public hearing notice for Mack Studios, which came to the amount of $47.44. And then we have a pilot disbursement for Prison City in the amount of $13,000. Let's see, it's $13,177.
Okay, anyone have any questions about Taylor's report?
One quick question on the Buffington and Holtland. This is my first year on AIDA. Is it an annual audit?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you'll get that report out. She'll be at the March meeting to report on the audit and present it to the board for approval.
All right, thank you.
One of the things you'll see, Jim, is that typically the board has been pretty diligent about sending out requests for proposals. So they were selected as our auditors a couple years ago, and we've been pretty solid in terms of going through that process as well. So it's a competitive process, and they have been our selectees the last couple of times.
Okay, thank you.
And we will be RFPing this year. The 2020 is the last year on the current contract, so we'll be putting out an RFP this year, which you'll probably also see in the next month or two.
Okay, anything else on bills and communications? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a
So
motion.
moved.
Moved by Roger, second by Jimmy. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, carried. Thank you. We will now go on to Roger, January 2021 budget report and balance sheet.
Yeah, it's in your package right after the Buffington and Holton bill there. I just want to go through some things quickly. The profit and loss budget performance, January 2021. I just want to point out that our annual budget is in the far right-hand column. Generally, so our original projections, 50,782, I think, or 92 of revenues and 51,000 of expenses. So we project a net income 0, which is essentially a break even. So keep that in mind because I'm going to run through a couple other schedules. Next one is the balance sheet page, and I just want to point out something there. It's comparing January 2021 to January of 2020, and you can see, I just point your attention to the total checkings and savings account balance in columns 1 and 2 there, and you can see that as of the end of January, we had 177,000 in cash on hand compared to 89 in the previous year. That reflects a pretty solid year that we've had, and also reflects significant disbursements that we made regarding the branding project. So again, decent start into 2021. Okay, then finally, this is a new schedule. The third page is the Auburn Industrial Development Authority, the 2021 forecast and budget. And that is a recap of 2020 on the first column, where you can see 179,000 in revenues. And so a solid year in 2020. And I also point out the far right-hand column, the proposed 2021 forecast and budget. So a couple pages above, we had 50,000 in revenue, but you can see in our forecast that we're projecting 371,000. Is that a fairly good, Tracy, I defer to you. That's a good number?
So
that's going to reflect.
Includes the new core admin fee that came in that came in right at the end of January, beginning of February. That was 180,000 in and of itself. And then I also included Mack Studios and Courier in this, as well as another $8,000 for some project that we assume will be coming. So most of this is based on the projects that we have in front of us right now.
Okay. So you can see that while we were very modest in the original budget, when we get to the forecast number, that gives us a good measure and update of what we might be thinking of based on the current projects that are coming forward. So again, right now, the projection is for a pretty solid year, and again, puts us in a position of being flexible in case other investment opportunities come along. And I just wanted to point that out. So I will continue to say that and keep you updated throughout the year. But I wanted to say that right now, unlike what Peter Mack said about his business, as Auburn businesses do well, I guess you could say AIDA is kind of sharing in that positive experience. So that's my presentation. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
I believe Bill is asking for a motion.
He's doing it mutely.
I'll make a motion.
Got it. I'll second.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you, Roger. You do a fine job with that. So I do about 3 of these Zoom meetings a week, and I still struggle. Oh, well. So it's hard to teach an old horse new tricks. So can I have a motion, please?
We had a motion by Jimmy and a second by Gwen.
Okay, yeah, when I was trying to unmute myself. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Carried? Okay. Thank you. All right, now we have, I believe we're moving, because we've jumped all over to the CETA contract. Am I correct, Tracy?
We're gonna go right to TGW, the
Okay.
presentation under 5B.
Okay.
So Lisa and Gavin are back. Lisa, I just made you a co-host. I'm not sure if. Okay.
That was going to be my next question.
Great. So they're here to talk about the website for the Place brand and provide an update, and I will leave it to them.
Great. Hey, everybody. Great to see all your faces again this month. Gavin and I are really excited to chat with you a little bit tonight. We won't take up too much of your time, but we've been working really closely with Tracy and Devin on the next phase of the project for the Place branding, and that is the website development. And today we'd like to show you a little bit of what we're working on. I'd say we're probably at about 80 to 90% done at this point. So we're in the final days, I would say, of, wanting to make sure everybody here got their eyes on it, and, just making sure all of our T's are crossed and I's are dotted. So without further ado, I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to scroll through a couple different sections. If you'd like me to stop, just give a shout. And hopefully my internet's not too laggy here. Let's give it a go. Okay. Can everyone see the screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So this is the new Auburn Where Possibility Takes Root website. We're really excited about the usage of photography throughout the site. Devin shared with us a massive repository of wonderful imagery, and my team having had, just taken and still continuing to take so much photography working with the RHC. It's just been a great opportunity to really, put a good emphasis on the different sections and get some real faces in there. So, and a big thanks to those of you that came down to either get their headshots or to talk with me on the phone late at night. Well, not that late, but it was after work hours. So I appreciate all of that for the podcast. We were really excited to get everybody's eyes and ears on all of that. So more to come there. So as you can see on the homepage, right away, you see the new logo front and center, and immediately some snapshots of Auburn. The sections that, we put an emphasis on for the sitemap and, just making it a very clear directive on how people want to get where they want to go. So if you notice in the navigation, we have Auburn 101, live here, work here, do business here, and our stories. On the top right-hand corner, we've got news and blog and contact us. One key aspect of this are the calls to actions, the CTAs throughout the site. We want folks to, no matter what section of the site they land on, no matter how they got here, if they want to learn more about something or to actually talk to someone, we want to make it very easy for them to do so and not have to look very hard. So you're going to see a lot of contact us and different buttons, and in the footer, there's a good call to action. And that was also something, that Tracy wanted to make sure we put an emphasis on immediately as soon as someone goes to the homepage for the first time, having opportunities here, contact, and then also down here in the left, we have contact us to get the lay of the land. You'll notice throughout that we worked really closely with the brand on a specific type of tone, and the messaging throughout is very friendly. It is quaint, but it is also buttoned up, and it really walks a good line between very friendly, but also, these are the brass tacks, and this is where you're going to find the information you need to find if you want to learn more about the incentives right now or any other information that's a little bit more technical. So as I begin to scroll, you'll see a nice little intro text here that talks about Auburn. In the next section, right away, we're seeing Auburn faces, testimonials, little quotes about why they love living where they live and why it's important to them for folks to know what Auburn has to offer. And so this will be rotating any number of different folks at any given time. It was really important. We wanted to make sure that the faces of Auburn were really prevalent as soon as you experience the site, because that's what it's all about. These are custom iconography here that we created for AIDA, and we thought that they looked complimentary of the brand and will be utilized across any other type of marketing materials and certainly in the digital space. But again, you see the theme: live here, work here, do business here, making it very simple for people to understand, okay, this is where I can find out more information about doing business. What do you have to offer as far as working here, and what is life like in Auburn? Scroll some more. Beautiful quote about Auburn, giving a little bit of a downtown vibe. And this is all just on the homepage. So, we're really excited because there's just so much to offer and so much for folks to read and to look through. And I just think that, being as simplistic sounding as possible is a real win for us, because there is so much here. And we just want to make sure that we keep it as simple as possible. And often, I'm sure you've all heard, keeping things simple is not always easy. This was a challenge to really kind of, understand how the hierarchy was going to operate and what was going to make the most sense. This is a custom design of what the podcast is going to look like. And we're still in production and editing all of that. So that's just a placeholder at the moment. So again, fresh, relevant, interesting content, hearing real voices, seeing real faces. And then this is also where the blog will live, where the blog posts will be populated. And then a really info-rich footer. Again, super easy to find. Social channels, phone number, how do I contact you? And also some more of like the more, technical type things, documents and policies. Everything lives here. If you want to hear more about AIDA, mission statement, this is all where you're going to find all of that. Live here, we break it down: stories, arts and culture, food and bev, nature. Oh, and working here, employers, Auburn 101. And again, with businesses, site selectors, small business and startups, and resources. I'm going to show you a couple more sections. But again, this is the main splash, what people are going to experience when they first come to the site.
Just one very quick note, Lise, before we leave the homepage, some of you may notice the URL. This is just the URL for our stage or test site. So don't worry if you're confused by that, the aidastage.com. The actual URL is going to be very campaign driven. It will be takerootinaubburn.com, and that's actually going to match all of the social media properties as well. So Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter will all have that similar campaign-based and really action-oriented handle and URL. Just wanted to point that out.
Thanks, Gav. The next section I want to show you is Auburn 101. This is an area we're really excited about because it's little snippets showing people quickly, little factoids, making it really visually interesting, and just trying to do something different. You know, when you take a look at the New York State map like this, it's like there's Auburn right in the middle, you know, for people to just be able to digest very quickly that Auburn's right in the middle of the state and the Finger Lakes are right around it. Oh, and we've got these main veins of transportation right there available and how quickly it can connect to everything. So all the things that we've been talking about for so long in terms of it being right in that triangle and being accessible, and just being in a beautiful part of the state. So we really liked the way that this turned out in terms of expressing all those important aspects of Auburn. Some great statistics and information about living in Auburn. Just snapshots and just digestible information that I think will really resonate with people, you know, and hopefully leave them thinking about Auburn, even if they are only here for a couple of minutes. What it's like to work here, commute, and then doing business here. Talking a little bit more about why Auburn makes sense. And then another area that we really like is this community profile. And this profile section here with these different tabs appears in other sections of the site as well. Again, just to reiterate and to drive home from a consistency standpoint, all of the different aspects that Auburn has to offer. So if you click through, it loads through and provides all these different resource links. Courier we were just talking about. And so on. And then, of course, all of the resources that help make Auburn go round. Live here. Similarly to Auburn 101 type information, but now we're, you know, trying to put an emphasis on the actual lifestyle and experience one has or can have. Community profile, as I mentioned. And we dive in a little bit more into the actual arts and culture, talking about theater, and just kind of breaking that information out a bit more. So lots of teaser information, but also full of rich links and other areas to find out more information about these different parts of Auburn. And then let's look at work here, and then would love to get some of your thoughts. We have room to grow, and we want you to be a part of it. Career section, talking about major employers, and so on. We're still building out the Our Story section, but it's going to be very similar to the homepage, where we have the different quotes and the beautiful headshots of folks, just an area of just kind of really showcasing and highlighting people's experiences. And so that is a little taste of the progress that we're making with Devin and Tracy. I will leave this pulled up on the How About Auburn 101, and I'm not sure if there's time, but if there's time, Gavin and I are happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Comment. I'm really impressed with this. It covers a lot of what I think AIDA wanted to project to not only prospective companies, families, workers, but I think it also will provide perspective even for people that live here already. So I just think I really like how it looks. It's very contemporary, and it's multifaceted. It's a website that does what contemporary websites should do, and I just want to say I'm very impressed with what your company has done with this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Really appreciate that coming from you. And
thanks, Terry.
Yeah, this has been a real it's just been an adventure being able to have so much at our fingertips and just to try to make Auburn as beautiful as it is in this application and in this way. So
I basically want to second what Terry said. When we started talking about this last year, this is, I think, what we envisioned. I mean, I really think that you've captured exactly what we were envisioning. We are an old town, right? But, I like to think of us being like this mini Ithaca. I think our music scene's better, I think, and I just think you're capturing that, the color scheme, I wrote down some notes here, the font, the graphics, especially the one for the podcast, I thought was super cool. One of our colleagues on AIDA who's not here tonight, he mentioned, how are we going to tie in our history, right? We're known as history's hometown. And I love the tagline you had there, small town, huge history.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is so much of who we are. Not only our identity, but a big part of our economy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for grabbing that. I think that's huge. And I'd be remiss if I didn't comment how dapper Councilor Cuddy looked.
Thank you so much, Jim.
I had a question. One of the overriding concerns when we started out was that this would be accessible to people involved in the business of site location, site locators, and so forth. Has it done that? I mean, is that another part of the process that we have an outreach to those people throughout the country who are making those site location decisions?
Yeah, so absolutely. So this site definitely is focused on that particular segment and target audience, and so will the content that we're going to be producing once the site is live as well, and sharing out. So we are going to have a entire section here. I don't know that it is live at the moment because I think we might. Oh, okay. We have part of it up. But yes, is a full area here for the site selectors and the folks that are kind of being the liaison from Auburn to, folks that are thinking of trying to relocate or start a new business. So finding a site.
And that's one of the things, Roger, that really, took in mind, from the very beginning. And, that's where the, kind of brand and marketing strategy is so key when you translate that over to a website. Obviously, it has to, look great and be really easy to use. But from, a marketing and just general communications and outreach perspective, really paying special attention to your very point of making specific sections so that, when it comes time to reach out, or if you get inquiries, there are very, very dedicated sections of the site that a link can be sent, and that specific information is very relevant to that person. And we say that person with those different audience members in mind. So being very mindful throughout the process of building it that way.
And the onus still exists, it still rests with us with this branding project and website and so forth. We still have to be, I believe, vigorous in our outreach to get in front of these site selector folks. I don't know how that is accomplished. I just don't. So.
Yep, that's a great point as well. And we are going to be helping out at least for a little while with that process and developing, things like content and marketing programs that will get this brand and this website and these visual assets out in front of those folks as well.
And to respond to Roger, I think that this website, I think, has it's almost like projecting, our role in the future, meaning that, sometimes we need to like, the simple idea of marketing AIDA, which, I don't know who I was talking to. I was like, I've been on the board for 7 years and, like this is the first time we've done this, but it also, as indicated in, going through the balance sheets, we're doing fine already, but the idea is that we can build off of this, and this opens up new opportunities to really market Auburn in new and innovative ways. So this idea of, how do we cater, this is a great, I guess, a great starting point for site selectors. But, obviously that's a conversation for AIDA to have in, what kind of background or working with the website to, I'm sure Devin is very interested in how we're going to interface with this, with the website, because it is going to be like, there's going to be people on this side of the website and people on that side of the website, and that are going to be working. So I see this as a tool that will be very much used and updated. And you're right, Roger, it's going to take a lot of work, but if we are not, living up to the kind of dynamics of the website, it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. But I do think that this raises the bar in which how we are going to, market Auburn. And as I say, I can't stress like the idea of contemporary. This works on a language that we never had. As Jimmy said, even the icons, the infographics, the elements work on a level that I don't think we have, that I've seen in Auburn on this scale. So it's in a way it's raising our expectations are raised, but also our commitment as a board and how the staff at CEDA, and again, I think this isn't to me, it's a beginning conversation. This website really is going to beg to really make us change how we do what we do, and I think it's going to be in a good way, because it is going to bring in business, and it's going to do exactly what we want it to.
Lisa, Gavin, or Tracy, any of you can answer this question. Because we're still sort of in a design phase or in a testing model, would it be helpful to have a site selector who's a friend of Tracy's take a look at this website prior to the launch? I'm not married to that idea. I'm just wondering if it would be interesting to have a site selector that maybe Tracy knows take a look at the site and get a reaction from that as well.
Yeah, I like that idea. Absolutely. I think, I think that this is a really important conversation to be having, because it's with the place brand process. Our goal is really, we've got these multiple target audiences, and site selectors are very important, as are these, different folks that and the different personas that will be visiting the site. But the goal is really to, how do we put Auburn's best foot forward first? This, in a lot of occasions, is going to be one's first experience with Auburn. And that's really what we were trying to accomplish here, and humanize it as much as possible. and, you know, and especially for the site selector. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's a great idea. Any type of feedback is super helpful, but our goal really is with the content and everything that's been written and how it's been designed is to just try to communicate to the personas and to the folks specifically that makes it feel like we're talking to them.
Tracy, what do you think of that idea? I'm just curious if you think that there would be benefit in asking a site selector that you know to look at this site from their perspective.
Yeah, I certainly think that there's probably one or two brokers who do site selection type work that we could maybe run this by and just kind of get an initial gut feedback.
I just think that if that's something you're open to, it could be helpful, since there are a couple of personas that we're trying to attract, and them in particular, because we would want them to drive businesses to our community. I think it would be really interesting to get a general reaction to everything about the website and to see if they find even the organization of it useful. Don't worry, Lisa and Gavin, I'm not going for a whole new redesign. I just think we should know.
Yeah.
Not today, Gwen. But do you know what I mean? So if you're open to that, Tracy, I think that that could add some benefit before we roll this out.
Certainly.
If I may, Karen Cole from Tourism here. I wanted to jump in just one moment. I was invited to take a sneak peek, I guess. I am very impressed. I know TGW's work from the Equal Rights Heritage Center, and this focus that they've given to Auburn is very specific to the needs that this organization had. And as far as the reiteration of the information in various places, I think it's very insightful of them because people need that same information. And I think the way it's organized, it's very accessible. And the most important thing is it answers the question to the audiences that you're reaching out to. Like Gwen stated, you have certain personas that you're trying to get to land to this page. And the most important thing once you land is to answer the things that they would be interested in. And the live here, work here, do business here are very simplistic ways of putting the information out there. And that's exactly what you need. The simpler, the better. And then you have a lot of the information. It's all there. You just drill into it. The more information you want, the more you find. I love the use of the graphics. I think they're very quick providing the information. That's what people need nowadays. You don't need to be reading paragraphs upon paragraphs to get as much of the information as quickly as possible. And I love, like you said, Lisa, it's the faces, because that's what really makes people make decisions. Do I see myself living there? Is this a place where, you know, I can see myself participating in? And the use of the videos, the photograph, the people, it is very nicely done. Again, I love Maria. Who can't love Maria? She just looks so happy here, doesn't she?
Absolutely.
So kudos. It was not easy information to translate and to put in one place, but I think you've addressed that. And to Roger's point, as how do you get people to get here? How do you get the information to people's hands? You've addressed that within this page as well, because with the news and blogs and with the podcast, it's the constant generation of content that you put out there that helps people find the page. And when you communicate with potential businesses or individuals that are relocating, you need them to have a place to continue listening to. There's only so long you can talk to them. There's only so much material you can send them. But the link to the page is such a simple thing, but you're delivering all the rest of the information. And the constant access to contact us makes it seem that you are available. There's a lot of places and websites, I'm sure we've all found, that you have to dig through page after page to find an email to talk to the people. You've made that easy, and that was important too. So, my two.
Thank you so much, Karen. That was awesome feedback. And we hit on so many key things that we tried to keep top of mind as often as possible while we were building the site out and the ultimate, structure of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Karen.
And I'll just quickly add to kind of also get at my Seat of Staff update, two birds with one stone, that we're also kind of working in parallel with this brand rethink of our email marketing and how to do more inbound and email marketing, and build a list of those site selectors and those prospect companies and industry-specific companies and stakeholders and be able to build these lists and direct information to them. Once they've subscribed, we can then direct information to them and keep them updated on, new podcast episodes or what's happening with Courier Plastics or what's the next or the latest, greatest news from Auburn, New York. And that will be happening in parallel with this. So that will be a piece of the puzzle. And then we're also currently out to RFP for a supply chain analysis for Cayuga County. And that will hopefully generate some targeted attraction outreach. It will help us target our outreach, and this will be a good tool to utilize in those outreach efforts. So it's all kind of coming together.
Excellent. I love hearing other people say inbound marketing, Tracy. The fact that you just said that.
Devin taught me that word.
All right. I knew it. No.
Tracy, I just don't ever like to assume. So would you just say something about inbound marketing and what it means is to you?
Would somebody else like to explain what inbound marketing means? I don't really know.
So we're setting up pathways for our targets, for our personas, to connect with us. We're getting to know who they are, what they like, what they read, and putting ourselves out there in their spaces, and inviting them to subscribe. Like Tracy was saying, we're working on finding a new email platform for CETA that we will utilize for AIDA's place brand on the website. So when they subscribe, we find out who they are and what they like. If they're a site selector, they go into the site selectors list. So the next time that we put out, hey, what's happening in Auburn, because that's what site selectors want to know, what's happening in your community, they'll get that messaging delivered right to their inbox. So that's kind of like a little bit of what inbound marketing is.
So it's enticing them in and then retargeting them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's meant to feel as personalized and customized as possible. It can be more time intensive, but it's not, as much. It's not a heavy advertising spend or anything like that. It's much more from a communication standpoint and taking the time to get to know who you're talking to. And it's one of our favorite areas of focus at TGW because it feels more real and authentic. And I think, we're figuring that out, as time goes by, that's the way people, go figure, like to be marketed to. So
until next week.
Yes. And then it'll be some other buzzword. No.
Outbound marketing.
Yes.
Circular marketing.
Ooh.
Get on it. I don't know. Those aren't real things. Sorry.
Well, thanks so much, everybody. As always, you can find us via Tracy and Devin or shoot us a note directly. This will be available relatively soon. We're still, as I said, putting some finishing touches on and finishing up some areas and working with Tracy and Devin on that. So more to come, but we wanted to make sure that we had a good amount to show you this evening so that you had a nice, confident feeling that, that this is how it's going to be. So.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Looks great.
Thanks as always. Really great to see everybody.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to move to, I believe, Tracy, CETA staff update.
Yep. So you just got part of it. The only other thing I really wanted to point to tonight was that Micro Enterprise started this week. The first session was yesterday, and there was pretty good attendance. There were 6 applicants that were accepted directly into the program, and then we have a few waitlisted in case we have any people that need to leave the program along the way. We can backfill that seat. It was really hard to tell anybody no that was eligible because they were a bunch of really great applicants, and we were really happy with the response that we got. So it's a really tough decision-making process, but that did start last night, and it's a weekly session, so that'll be going for another 7 weeks, and we're really excited about it. So That is up and running. We have our first few DRI applications moving into the contracting phase and the paperwork phase. So we've got 5 projects moving forward as of last week, and we're starting to work on their scope of work and getting all the paperwork to the state. So those should be ready to go, this spring, early summer. And those are the major ones. We'll keep you posted on other stuff. I don't know if I forgot anything. Taylor, if I forgot something, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy. All right. We are going.
You covered it.
So we're now going to move to report of governance committee.
Gwen, do you want to take the lead, or do you want me to?
You can go right ahead.
You sure? Okay. We're not going to go into too much detail because I believe that we'll officially be talking about some of these in the March meeting. Am I correct, Tracy?
Yes.
Just to let you know what we did, Gwen, myself, Tracy, and Taylor were at the governance committee meeting. We went over the board evaluations, and we noted one of the evaluations with that the board felt we needed work on was I guess the goals, and what we wanted to do is basically make the goals a little bit more specific so that we could measure them. So we came up with some ideas, but we'll share those, or Tracy will share those next month. Besides going over the board evaluations, we went over the bylaws, and pretty much those are the same. We're thinking of tightening up the mission statement, so we want to bring that before the board. We felt that it might have been a little bit too long, so we really condensed it. Actually, Gwen really made the point, and I think it's a much tighter thing. Thank you, Gwen. And so I don't know if I'm missing anything. Tracy, Gwen, what do you think?
No, I think you did a great job. Those were the 2 major chunks of work that we looked at. And part of our thinking, so when you see the revision on how the goals are stated, was that anything that Tracy could do in the process of articulating those goals that also aligned with where we say we're going as an organization, to make that more specific and clear, would not only be good for us in our role of monitoring the activity of AIDA, but also starts to set her up to communicate externally about the kinds of things that we're wanting to do. So they were broad general statements that I experienced as strategic priorities, but I think the drop downs that we'll be sharing with you will give us all more insight into the body of work that we're focused on to advance that mission in the community. So that was what the philosophy was behind the revisions that you'll see in March.
Okay. Thank you both. Now, I apologize. I went past CETA contract. Tracy?
Yep, so in the packet was an updated contract. It's the same contract with updated dates. No one had mentioned anything that they felt was a concern in the contract, so that's kind of just what I put out there, but there is still room for discussion if anyone has any concerns with the document or with the contract and the way it's laid out. But if everyone is happy with the way things have been going and with the contract as it was, this is available for approval, or we can do it next month if there's any adjustments that need to be made.
Do you need a motion, Tracy?
If you'd like.
Well, before I do it, I'm not assuming that people don't want to wait. So
yeah.
Let me put the motion on the floor. Let's see what's going on.
Okay, so Gwen has motioned. Are there any? Do I have a second? Second by Jimmy. Any questions before I call the vote? We all good? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, carried. Thank you. All right. Do we have any board member updates? Anyone have anything they'd like to discuss?
I just
I
have a
don't
quick.
have an
Go ahead.
update necessarily, but Tracy, I did want to ask you something because I can't remember. Is TGW also going to design the rollout strategy for introducing the website into the community? And we'll have a chance, will we see that prior to it actually rolling out?
Yes, so we're going to start talking about next steps at our weekly check-in next week, which we invited Gwen and Terry, both of you, to.
Right.
So there will be some additional conversation before the full rollout happens. One thing that we had discussed is that it's good to have the website and the social media live for a little while before you actually roll it out, so you can start to populate it. And make sure that there's content there for people to see. So there will be a little bit of a lag time between when things kind of go live and when they're launched. But yes, TGW is part of that strategy. We're going to start talking through that strategy next week and hopefully be able to kind of put that into motion next month.
And will that include announcements in local or regional media?
I imagine it will, but I really don't know yet.
Well, let me tell you why I'm asking. I was just curious about that because I'm thinking once this rolls out, those of us who sit on the board may bump into people that have questions about it or curious about it. So if part of that TGW would craft maybe 3 talking points for us to share when people ask us while I'm having a cocktail in my living room with no one but me, myself. But maybe I'll go outside sometime and somebody's going to want to know. But I think if we could get like 3 talking points that could be used by the board to just, when people ask us about it, should they ask us about it, that we're speaking in one voice about it, I think that would be a helpful part of the communication strategy.
To piggyback off of what Gwen's saying there, I'd like to suggest that once everything's up and running and we have that, if they'd like to, they could come to council and do a presentation because that's live streamed. It's put on public access. And then, Chuck can do a press release through the city's channels too. And hopefully it would get a story in the Citizen if they send a reporter that night. That's always a crapshoot these days. So
I think that's something they could talk about, Tracy. I mean, because of whatever's going on at the paper, I think if they decide to talk about this in the media, that's even all the more reason for us to be saying the same thing about this project and what it means to the AIDA board. So, and I would say that I think there's benefit in having it covered in the media and possibly even some neighboring media outlets as well.
No, absolutely.
And
Yeah, we'll chat
Tracy,
with them about that next week when we start kind of going over that strategy. And
I know that Mr. Lavarnway had asked if he could to be replaced, and I know that was in the process. Where do we stand with that?
I'm actually not positive. I was just thinking about that today. I know Jim had reached out to someone, but I hadn't heard from him since then, and now he's somewhere else. I don't know where Jim is actually, but I'm actually not positive of where that stands at this point. It might just be a matter of getting it on council agenda.
Yeah, if we could maybe fast track that. I mean, we're got big projects coming before us, and it'd be nice to have
a full board.
A full board.
Yeah. No, we'll check in with Jim and kind of see where things are at.
Okay.
Can you remind me the industry that Ron had represented?
Ron, he was a retired. He did a lot of HR work, as I recall, but he was in manufacturing. So. But I think we've got a couple good candidates, or we've got a good candidate that we're pursuing, and I'm just not sure where it is right now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to upcoming events, Tracy.
Yep, as you can see, we just have a few upcoming things, there's a webinar tomorrow about managing a remote workforce. This is with HR1. You can still register for that if you or anyone you know are interested. There's a state budget presentation with Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul on Friday at 1 p.m. You can email Rhonda Miller in the mayor's office if you'd like to attend that, and she will get you the link. And we also have a virtual networking event next week at the Equal Rights Heritage Center, and that's also on the Chamber's website. We're also aligning our State of series. It's going to be virtual again this year. It'll be at the end of March. We've got the city, county, and schools locked in, and we're playing around with an idea for a fourth one. But this year with the schools, we're going to cover K through 12 and higher education. So it'll broaden that perspective a little bit. So that's the nice thing about doing these virtually is we can add more content. So those will be coming up at the end of March. And those dates will be, registration and the dates will be going out at the beginning, probably at the beginning of March.
Okay. Can I have a motion? Our next meeting is March 21st at 5 o'clock. Can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Moved by Roger, second by Gwen. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a
Have a good night.